We have so much wrong that we have to correct in 2021. Let's get started.
All right, here we go. Get ready to have a good time. This is exciting, isn't it?
All right, we're on. Hello, testing.
Welcome aboard the Dreamliner.
It's the only way to fly.
Hear ye, hear ye! Where are my party people at?
Gary.
Here's a young speaker who is really in demand.
Don't let that go to your head, Gary.
But wait, there's
See,
more.
I'm the guy.
He's Garry Meier.
Happy New Year, Garrforce! We're live on January 1st, 2021. No matter where you are, it's time for a digital mimosa. This edition of the Garry Meier Show Cocktail Hour Live went wheels up at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Central, or Mountain, 3 Pacific, 2 Alaskan, 1 Hawaiian, etc., etc. And as always, you can replay this episode whenever you like.
Cocktails, ooh, drinks.
When technology cooperates, we multi-stream to provide the full interactive live Garrforce experience on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter Periscope. But now more than ever, we recommend that you subscribe to the Garrforce Live YouTube channel. You can see all of our live shows and replay any you've missed right there. For those following on Twitter Periscope, that is even more important now because Twitter has announced it is retiring Periscope in March in favor of a new product. More on that soon. During our live show, comments are welcome on any of our streaming platforms. And you can also text us at 773-888-2157. Regular charges may apply. Now, fasten your seatbelts. It's time to go wheels up on the Garrforce Live.
Yo. Welcome. Here we are. Jan 1. Feels pretty good so far. Nothing's gone off the rails. I hope not. It's the first day of...
Well, actually, Gary, we did
Something's
go
gone
off the rails.
Alan?
We went off the rails during the countdown, which is why we always start the show 2.5 minutes before showtime. We were not on Facebook to anybody but ourselves again, but this time I outsmarted Facebook. I turned off the stream and I turned it back on like a good tech solution, and I'm proud to say we're on Facebook.
Great. All right. I got to tell you, Alan and Keith, my other producer, Keith produces the Monday through Thursday shows, and Alan does this live show. I watched the two guys on CNN, Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen. Oh, my God. I had to beat myself up one more time at the end of 2020, and that was the perfect way to do it. You have more production on this show than CNN does on that thing for 4 hours. I don't know if you watched any of that, but that was an acid trip. Okay, I didn't watch. Oh, first of all, let's kick the tires and light the fires and go wheels up. We got to do that to get off the ground here. We've done that. Show brought to you by premium members, by Bettenhausen Automotive in Tinley Park and Orland Park, Illinois, and by Team Hochberg, your mortgage experts. I didn't watch really a minute of Ryan Seacrest, but I'm assuming that Jenny McCarthy was not on because her main thing when she was on that show was to kiss random service guys in front of her husband. And then her husband would say, "Oh, wait till I get you home because you've really turned me on." I imagine they didn't do that with her, so it wasn't worth watching that. So I watched Andy and Anderson and Alan. Really, I'm sure CNN is going to look to hire you. Please stay with me, because they need some production.
I was going to say they can find me on LinkedIn. Anybody?
All right, listen, I just said I don't want them to hire you, damn it. Okay. Hey, I'm having a mimosa because everything's better with a mimosa, and I'm having it in a glass. I don't know if you can see that very much. That's got the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood logo. That was sent to me by listener Ryan from Wisconsin. Thank you, Ryan. Everything is better with a mimosa. If you're on an airplane and you have stage 4 cancer, which I talked about recently, and the flight attendant comes up to you, "Would you like a mimosa?" Like, that's going to make it all better. And damn it, it does. This mimosa is as real as a donut. It's delicious. Delicious. Coming up in just a few minutes, financial reporter Terry Savage. Hopefully, she'll have some good news to start this year. When I talked to Terry in March, she scared the bejesus out of me. I've had Terry on many, many times over the years, and she's always been able to say, listen, and it was usually during things that were bad, and she would go, history says we will get out of this. I look at all of the past 60, 70, 80 years, we've always gotten out of this. When I talked to her in March when COVID started, it was not good. And she was right, and I cried for days. She scared me. I'm hoping to start this year she has better news. That's in just a few minutes. A lot of people have checked in already. Cam, and Janice, and Larry, and Martin from British Columbia, Christina, Anthony, Jeff, John Roach, my friend John Roach. John, hello. Hope everything's great up in northern Wisconsin. Yeah, hey. We're going to get the schnauzer real wet tonight. I feel it. You can see where I've prepared for 2021. I'm not going half-assed into this year. I'm ready to go. I got it ready. I'm going with this arsenal. It's all good. Welcome, Leslie. How are you? How was your New Year's Eve? Hey.
Boring. Really, really boring.
There's nothing wrong with boring.
Yeah, I mean, at least we're not catching the COVID. And hi to Dieter Sturm is joining us today, too.
Dieter was on there?
The snowman.
Oh, my God. I wanted to call him recently because there was a story about somewhere that wanted snow. And I thought, Dieter's the guy. Dieter makes snow for movies. He's an Academy Award winner. I've had him on the program. I did a thing with him making snow many years ago. Dieter is the guy. Dieter, Happy New Year.
And I was thinking about him watching all those Hallmark Christmas movies because they were filmed in July of last year in Southern California. Right. So people like Dieter.
Yeah, he made the snow for planes, trains, and automobiles. He made the snow for Fargo. If you've seen that movie, on the top of that parking lot where they have the shootout, he made the snow on the top of that parking lot. He's the man. He's the snow man. I love Dieter.
Hey, Dieter, thanks for joining us.
D, John, Larry, Roger, welcome. I'm happy to have you on for the first show of the new year. And
Merry New Year.
I want to bring up, good riddance that piece of shit year. I want to.
Don't say it could get worse. It couldn't get worse.
I know.
Whatever, or it couldn't get worse.
Listen,
please, whatever you do.
It can't. It really can't, because a year ago at this time we had no idea what was coming. We had no vaccine in the works. We've got a couple vaccines. We are really kind of in a groove to fight it. I know it's still rampant, but we're not.
But we're prepped. We're ready.
Right. We're not standing there like sitting ducks like we were a year ago. Well, 2020 started. This is going to be a good year.
Awesome.
Yeah, everything's good. Economy's good. Everything seems to be good. And then 3 months later, what the fuck happened?
I think I realized what the problem was. I did not eat pickled herring at midnight last year.
Yeah,
so I apologize. I may very well have been the cause of 2020 being such a
Yeah, a lot of people have that tradition where they eat bad food on New Year's Eve. I don't get it. And pickled herring is one of those things. Did you do it last night? You really did?
I didn't. I did last night. Oh my God, yeah. And I was ready to do the grapes and the black-eyed peas and the whole shebang, but mostly we just hunkered down.
You hunkered down. The only pickled herring I would be really involved with would be me being pickled last night, because I had to numb myself out to get into this year, and I thought mimosas. This is the way to go to start the year.
Well, that's how you get through Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen.
Oh my God, it was so weird. I mean,
was it awful?
You can't even describe it because it wouldn't translate. Trust me, it was really weird. But I couldn't stop watching it. It was in that category of you can't slow down, or you have to slow down when you see a car wreck, and you slow down because this looks like a car wreck, and it just kept going and going.
Well, and with that too, I'm noticing that as we see these superstars supposedly performing on small stages, and they're really only 1 degree away from being garage bands without the production values.
Yeah. A lot of these people make no effort when they're asked to be a guest on the show. They just think, well, I'll be me. That's good enough. have a little shtickle, something.
Try.
If I
Yes.
heard one more time, or I think I should have made this a drinking game, that 2020 was a dumpster fire and they all said it, I would have been so drunk by 9:30. 9:30 Eastern.
Well, and because of the COVID, we kind of were thinking, noodling on the podcast, that maybe they'd start the New Year's celebration a couple hours later because they knew they didn't have the filler. They couldn't
Right.
have Jenny McCarthy kissing strangers and things like that.
Right.
And they still tried to start it at what, like 7:00 in the evening?
Oh my God, it's 4 or 5 hours they're trying to fill, and they really didn't have enough material for 30 minutes. And they kept stretching these stupid things out for 4 hours. And to that point, Leslie, there was a moment with Andy and Anderson where Anderson, I think, complained that they were starting to clean the streets at 2 minutes after midnight in Times Square. And he started to yell at the workers. And I'm thinking, what are they cleaning up? There were 6 people here, a few over there. And this Planet Fitness thing where they have their hats and their balls that they must give out to everybody when they have a crowd. And they did whatever was there last night. They got a hat and a beach ball. And I'm thinking, why? Why did you even give because they must pay a lot of, speaking of sponsorships, and you know I'm all about the sponsorship. Get any sponsorship you can if you need to. But I have to say, yes, like on this show, I'll put your ad there. But come on, when they dropped the ball in Times Square, they had Kia sponsoring that, and they kept showing this car revolving on the screen with the ball. And give us a little moment where you just see the ball, and we have a moment of nothing but that. We can go back into commerce and sponsorship in a half hour. But this Kia thing, they must have paid a lot of money to have that on screen for at least 10, 15 minutes. And that was depressing.
Is it because the people who make adult diapers decided not to get involved this year because they're, oh my God, they had to have taken a real hit.
They took a beating this year because they would sell at least 250,000 diapers to these people that stand there all day, 500,000, whatever. Oh, talk about a growth industry. The people that make cardboard cutouts of people, they must be making a fortune because all these sporting events, they have these cardboard cutouts there as if that adds to the excitement of the game. Do they leave the cardboard cutouts in the seats after the game, or do they take them and put them somewhere so if it rains or snows, they don't get damaged? What is the procedure on the cardboard cutout?
See, this is why we come to you, because you ask the important questions. In the same way, when we get Terry on the line here, do we want to invest in plexiglass? Because honestly, that's another one of those growth industries that I think we might all want to wrap our heads around.
A year ago, people that made face masks and hand sanitizer probably did a decent business, but it wasn't supernova. Or the people that make plexiglass shields. They, had a few deals here and there. Come March, oh my God, they're 24/7 at the factory making plexiglass shields. Now everybody has them. Growth industry, yes, out of nowhere. Cardboard cutouts, out of nowhere. Here's the other one.
And our friend Paul.
Oh, the air purifier, right there. The air purifier, A3, air3.com. That gives you a bubble, air3.com, right? That's where you get one of those.
3airhealth.com, I believe it is.
Okay. That's the mimosa talking. Are you sure about that?
3airhealth.com.
That air purifier you wear around your neck, and it gives you a 4-foot bubble of killing the ions and the germs and everything. That's what you got to have in your arsenal as we go through this year. So order one of those, and that's another thing to have with the mask and the sanitizer and everything else. I've been wearing that everywhere. I feel like
feels
I'm getting
better when I go to the store to know that I've got this.
You wear it at home, it feels like I've got fresher air around me.
Well, and it's also got the UV light, and we are finding out that UV light is very important to kill bacteria and viruses.
Okay. Barb says, as I watched that show last night with Anderson Cooper and Cohen, I thought, wonder what Garry is thinking about this. You know what I think when I'm watching that? Here's what I'm thinking. I wonder if people, say, in rural Alabama are watching this, and when Andy called Anderson sweetie and vice versa about the 6th time, what's that like? I mean, it was gay guys Lombardo. That's how they should bill it. For those who remember back in the day, my parents used to watch Guy Lombardo on New Year's Eve, and there was an orchestra in New York, and that was New Year's Eve. This is the 21st century version. And I said a couple days ago, I wish they would just talk about more gay things, because I want to hear about the gay community more. I want to be immersed in that, see what's going on there. But they were doing some weird stuff, really weird. They had a segment on where a guy swallowed a sword and then swam underwater in this pool.
With the sword still inside him?
Sword in his mouth underwater. And when he came out of the water, Andy said to Anderson, "You would date that guy, wouldn't you?"
Oh, Lord.
There it is.
Yeah,
there it is. And I just picture somebody somewhere shooting their TV screen at that point, much like Elvis would have done.
Hey, Garry, the cardboard cutout has arrived. Where do you want it?
There it is.
Oh, Ryan.
Yeah. Listen, if Ryan
sporting a
Garrforce shirt, that would be nice because he has 6 jobs and he's omnipresent. I'd appreciate that. He is a cardboard cutout.
A reality show where he gives one of those jobs away.
I came up with this show idea. If you didn't hear the show, was that yesterday's show? Where
Thursday, whatever.
People like Steve Harvey and Ryan and all these other people that have 6, 7 jobs, they are on a panel and then they are willing to give a job away to somebody who could really use a job.
And you have contestants vie for this position, right. and they have to do "we got a good one for you today" kind of tagline. And yeah, wouldn't that just be awesome?
All right, Steve Harvey, you're now down to 5 jobs. How are you going to survive? Woo! Okay, and the cutouts, as Anthony is pointing out on the chat line here, got to go with fan sounds that sound fake too. They pump in the fan sound too. That's all manufactured because they got nobody there.
And we included that in the countdown this week for folks who got to see the countdown. I know Facebook didn't, but I added some fake crowd noise and some fake laughter to mock all that.
You got to. That's what we do. We mock. We mock. We're doing the devil's work here. Listen, this is perfect. I got this text today from 319, and the text says, "Hey, Garry, your buddy Barkhad Abdi from Captain Phillips does have a job." That's a great way to start 2021. He's on this show. I don't know this show, Castle Rock. I'm not familiar with the show, but apparently he's in this show.
Isn't that a production company?
Yes, it is, but it's also a show. It's called Castle Rock, and Abdi has a part in that, and that makes me feel good because we were worried after Captain Phillips and he was getting all that attention, and he thought, wow, I'm a movie star now. That was his first movie. They just plucked him out of obscurity and gave him that role, and then he got all, I'm a Hollywood icon, matinee idol type, and I'm thinking, how are they going to cast this guy? It's a very unique look, right. And he has managed to squeeze out a few jobs here and there. I don't know this show, but thank you, 319, for alerting me on
Castle Rock, Fraggle Rock, whatever rock he can land on is a good thing.
He's good. Listen, he's in charge now.
Here's
the start of 2021. These are the first 2 stories that producer Keith sent me today. First 2, 2021, Jan 1. Open up his pile of stories that I do every day. Wife wakes up and stabs husband after dreaming he cheated.
Huh.
That's an interesting way to do it, huh? And this one, second story, New York man cuts off penis, throws it in toilet.
I saw that one, but I kind of thought maybe that's a Jan 2 kind of story.
Jan 2, 3, 4. But I just wanted to point out that Keith, he's ready to go. He's not going, well, I'll ease into 2021.
Oh, no.
I'm going to hit him with these. Woman stabs husband in her sleep. She said he cheated on her, and therefore she stabbed him in reality.
You go with that, girl.
If I was going to act on every dream I've had about this or that happening, oh my God, I'd be in prison. I've had a lot of those weird dreams.
My husband used to quote comedians in his sleep, and sometimes it was inappropriate, including a Richard Pryor line about "gonna find me some new kitty cat." And I was trying to figure out, what the heck is this?
He said that in his sleep.
Yes. And I was the only kitty cat in the room. And it's like, what the heck are you?
Okay. That sounds like that joke about the guy who's wearing the pair of panties in the locker room, and his friend says, "Hey, when did you start wearing panties?" And he said, "As soon as my wife found them in the glove box." Something like that. It builds somewhat, something like that.
I know where we're going.
Right. You just kind of, I gotta work it because I'm in the corner here. Keith, come on up. I want to thank you for the start of 2021. You're raring to go, brother.
Oh yeah, I mean, why take a day off? Let's just go into it. If we're gonna do a show, do a show.
Hey, why not start the year by cutting off your penis and just toss it in the toilet? Let's just get rid of it at the start of the year.
Is that good luck, like eating herring and black eyed peas and all that?
There's a tradition.
Yeah.
And then my wife can't accuse me of cheating because I got no penis.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh God. Hey, I know you've talked about your Christmas tree, Leslie, and it's a Charlie Brown. It was a dog when you got it, and I don't know. Have you tossed it already?
No, we figured we'd wait through today, and then chances are it's going out tomorrow. All I have to do, I realized, is bring the shop vac into the house and hold it up to the tree, and then just remove the naked trunk when I'm done vacuuming, because those leaves, those needles are coming off like crazy.
So far, it looks like, in my mind, after Uncle Lewis lit the stogie, it looks like that, right? It's just a trunk and the bare branches.
And we were taken in by that trunk because it's nice and straight. And it's like, oh, well, this must be a good tree. See how straight not realizing the fact that we were seeing the trunk was already indicative of the fact that it was losing needles as we were bringing it home. But, at this point,
here's why I'm bringing it up. If you are willing, you and your husband, Tim, are willing to drive to Michigan, the Michigan Zoo there wants people to bring their Christmas trees because the goats use it for food. They love chewing on Christmas trees.
That doesn't seem healthy.
No, they do. They have a hard mouth. You got a hard mouth.
You got a hard mouth.
The pokey pine needles, which is a great clown name, are not a problem for goats because they have a really hard mouth.
Okay.
Watch it.
Chew
so there.
28 times.
Yeah. Chew.
Okay.
Chew, chew, and swallow. There it is.
Although right now, if I were to go to Michigan, don't I have to quarantine there for 2 weeks before I can come back home? See, it's too hard. Everything is fraught with peril.
Really, it's just a thought, and other zoos should do this. If that's the case and they have goats, they should have people bring their Christmas trees so they don't just go in a landfill. You're making a goat happy.
Although, if Tim had gotten the Elon Musk flamethrower that he asked for, we would have just put it in the driveway and started it on fire and taken some vid for you guys and shared it. But okay, maybe setting fire isn't out of the question. We'll see.
The guy in Kentucky that has made himself a big star on the net got dressed like Cousin Eddie and then got a flamethrower apparently for Christmas, and there was a little snow on the driveway, and he went out there in his bathrobe. That's not him. That's my own little Burning Man. That's the home version of Burning Man. And he went out and did his whole driveway in the bathrobe with the cigar and the hat that Eddie would wear, and made me want the flames. Guys like fire. We like to see fires. And that's the way it is. Women, not so much. You don't really care if you have a flamethrower, do you?
Well, a nice fire in the fireplace, not a bad thing. But I don't feel the need to use an accelerant the way men kind of seem to.
It's in our DNA. That's why local news, because they're run by a lot of guys, shows a house fire every night, even though it has nothing to do with the mass audience. We love apartment fires. We love home fires, even though it really affects only the people that live there. We're going to show fire because people love fire. Fire, fire. Like with Tom Hanks.
Did Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen have fire at any point yesterday?
Okay, it's funny you didn't see it, but they did. They did this whole bit about what do you want to throw into the dumpster fire? Something from 2020 that you didn't like, and okay. Let's bring on our special guest, and hopefully she will have some decent news. I told her to be gentle. Terry Savage, welcome.
Happy New Year. And it'll be
okay. What are you drinking?
You know, I was going to drink champagne tonight, but I drank so much champagne last night I couldn't even stand it. So I'm just down to a Chardonnay. But
Oh, okay. All right. So
Okay.
how much? I mean, were you just blind drunk? What? And tell me,
No.
it was just because you were celebrating New Year's Eve and you didn't see something that made you want to drink.
No, I love champagne. That's my most favorite thing to drink.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten around in a while, and it was just such a nice treat. So I must not read the same stuff you do. You know, you're talking about all these articles that you found, you and Leslie. Leslie says, I saw that, you know, and I'm thinking, what were my news headlines over the week? Okay. The Defense Act was passed over the president's veto. Gold went up over $1,900 an ounce. The dollar is falling. The market closed at all-time highs. I just don't read the same stuff you guys
No,
read.
you don't. But that's fine. You have your lane. I found a lane that I like. Everybody has their lane, and I don't.
Needs
What's
money.
that?
Your lane needs money, and this is the year you're going to have it. It's going to be a better year.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay, let's start off with this. The stimulus checks have gone out, right?
Some of them have. This is very interesting. The IRS is getting good at giving away money. Do you remember the old show, The Millionaire, when the guy came up with a top hat and knocked on? Oh, come on, you're not that.
Oh yeah. When I was a kid, right?
Yeah,
Right. The
okay.
millionaire.
$1 million. Well, now the IRS is getting very, very good at giving away billions. They have your information from the last stimulus check, and people who have direct deposit information on file with the IRS to get their refunds, for example, that money started going out Tuesday, Monday, I think it was Monday night. And Tuesday and Wednesday, I had people texting me on terrysavage.com, I was on radio, and saying, yep, I got mine, my neighbor got hers. So you don't have to do anything to get this, but you have to have earned less than $75,000 on a single return, $150,000 on a joint return, and you get money, and $600 comes your way.
Is it possible that that $2,000 number will be achieved?
No, I don't think that's at all possible. Although I'll tell you what, the IRS, for people who are wondering what was the 2,000, you remember the story that the Democrats were demanding more and more money. The Republicans said, no, you know, you must pay the rent, you can't pay the rent, kind of a thing. And the Republicans said, no, this is all we'll do is 600. So they finally had a deal. Mnuchin was negotiating it on behalf of the White House. It was a deal, $600, finally a deal, and extending unemployment benefits and so forth. And then all of a sudden the president said, $600, that's a pittance, give them 2,000. So, but that's not going to happen.
Okay,
But
why won't that happen? Why won't that happen?
Well, this is pretty serious stuff for New Year's Day, but what Mitch McConnell did was say, oh, we'll go to 2,000, but only if you Democrats will also vote for these other things, including a rule that would make platforms like Twitter and Facebook liable for the speech of the people who post on them. It was a way that the president sought to rein in the freedom of speech of people who wrote things against him. I mean, that's well known. So the Democrats were never going to go for that. So Mitch McConnell made it almost impossible for $2,000 to be passed. But I will tell you, the IRS, when they first announced that the checks were going out, said in their press release, now, if by chance there's a reason they increase this to maybe 2,000 or some other number, we will, quote, top it up. We'll give you the extra money, but we're getting you the $600 very quickly.
And if we could put politics aside for just a second, people need money. This is getting to be super serious because there's no real daylight that I can see, or maybe you have some daylight you can share with us. But is it catch-22 with the question and answer here? It's a game of chicken between the economy and the virus. And I understand you can't have people congregating because it spreads. But then if the economy is completely sucked into the ground, who wins here? Why are they doing this? I mean, I know they're playing politics. I understand all that. I don't do politics. But this, if it's, oh, we'll add to the debt, we can't do. I know they're trying to add other stuff before they would give the 2,000. But come on, this is people's whole life going down the shitter.
Gary, when the first unemployment plus benefits of $600 a week ran out at the end of July. Congress was going home on recess. You know that, by the way, only children in Congress get recess. Everybody else works and gets a vacation.
Yeah.
So in July, I was very busy saying they'll certainly pass an extension of unemployment benefits. People are really hurting. And it took them another 6 months. So obviously it's, I mean, you're smart. You're a part of the Garrforce. You know what's going on in the world. I think they had to do this. They had to pass a bill. What happened is they had to pass a bill to keep the government going. You know, once under this president, the government shut down a couple of years ago. So they needed to pass a bill. They attached the stimulus bill to it. They came to some kind of an agreement. Now the question is it enough? Look, we have millions of people out of work, and they're out of work from jobs that will not come back, because when a restaurant closes down, travel, hotels, nobody's going to hotels. So all the people that clean the rooms and everything, serve in the restaurants and so forth, those jobs aren't coming back so fast. And that was the need for the stimulus. But there are families that are on the edge of eviction. This program postponed. You can't be evicted right now. And then, yes, on the other hand, there's a lot of you, some of you know people who said, I hate the stock market, 15, 20 years ago, said, I hate the stock market. I'm going to invest in real estate and buy a 2-flat or a 4-flat and collect the rents. They have to pay their property taxes and their tenants aren't paying them. So it's a very complicated, messy situation. Money lubricates that. The stock market has swallowed all that money, which is why we're at new highs. But a lot of people are really we're talking about food and rent and mortgage payments. It's not pretty. But the good news is for 2021, we have the light now at the end of this tunnel. Really seriously, I know that's such a cliche, but if we could only hang in there 2 or 3 more months, this vaccine thing will get taken care of probably more efficiently as we move forward. And that will get us out from under. Then I think there'll be so much demand in the economy and so much desire that this economy could really take off over the summer. I'm counting on that. I'm believing that that's a real possibility.
Is that what you're seeing altogether in your bozo-puter, as far as I know you study the history of economics in this country, and you've said every time you get on the show, but we've never had anything like this. That's the thing, even after 9/11. And I guess that's the closest disaster, although the meltdown of 2008 was not a picnic either. But remember, after 9/11, the airports were closed for about 4 or 5 days. But when they reopened, people started to fly, maybe not in the numbers initially, but as the weeks went on, people went out to restaurants, and we got nothing closed down like this. We got back to somewhat normal within about a month or two. This is unbelievable where we're going if we don't relax something. And they're not going to give the 2,000. What are they thinking? 2 or 3 months could be the end of a lot of people's lives in a lot of ways.
Garrett, don't overdram. America, you know, I coined that phrase for that.
She's going to hold my hand now. I like this.
I am, because my phrase was America will survive and prosper, and so will you if you plan, save, and invest. That's the opening slide. Every talk I give, I speak a lot around the country. Think, you're not looking back far enough. And think about what it was like for your grandparents to live through the Great Depression. And that wasn't 5 days, and it wasn't 9 months. It was years and years. And then we had World War II, and while that got the economy going in certain ways, there was no consumer opportunity, no consumer demand. You couldn't buy stuff. Everything went into the war effort. So America has proved that it has the guts to get through tough times for longer than 9 months, for longer than even the 2 years after 3 years after the financial collapse, 2008, 2009. So just because it's taking longer doesn't mean we're not going to make it. We are. This is America. We do this. We know how to do this. I'm just going to say we've had a mess in leadership, and we haven't put our act together the way we do when things get tough. But it took us a long time at the beginning of the Great Depression because nobody recognized it for what it was. But we had a lost decade then. So I know we're coming through this. And if you can make it till the daffodils bloom, which is first or second week in April, you're going to make it through. This is going to be a different place, really.
Wow. Okay. Well, again, when I talked to you a year ago, it was doom and gloom. And this obviously is a nicer face you're putting on this. But again, we're talking now at the start of the month, rent's due. people can't buy food and stuff. And I'm just wondering if we have 90 days left for some people.
Well, so this is where this part about America comes in. You know, let's sort this out, because not everybody in this audience is worried about rent or mortgage or food on the table. A lot of people are. But in some ways, some people have gotten through this not only unscathed, but even actually doing a little bit better. They can work from home and their businesses continue. They're not worried so much about COVID. They're investors. They're the quote investor class. That doesn't make you have to be wealthy, but you have a 401k. The stock market closed the year at 30,606. I mean, it's a new all-time high. The NASDAQ was up 48%, all the tech stocks. So if you are one of those fortunate people who haven't been impacted as negatively, oh, it's been a pain in the neck and you can't go to the movies, and the trip you planned, you can't go. But look around, find someone. It's maybe the doorman in your building, the cab driver that you're not going to get in a cab. But there's someone, some family somewhere. Ask your church, ask your civic groups. And this is a time Americans give from one to the other. You know, the food depository, the Greater Chicago Food Depository, all those kinds of things. That wasn't a year-end burst of, we'll do charitable generosity. There are people out there, you're absolutely right, who can't put food on the table. So instead of going, okay, well, thank God I made it through, go figure out a way to share, not for tax deduction, but because there are really people in need out there. And we can't always just rely on the government, that's for sure.
All right. Well, again, I think the 2,000 would have been a nice way to start the year. And I don't understand what they're thinking in Washington, where their heads are. I know where they're at most of the time, but that's why I stay away from that, because it gives me a headache just thinking about it all the time. Terry, do you want to cover anything else that you think would be apt for the start of the year here?
Yeah, let me say a couple of things. And I didn't plan this, but number one, if you have a mortgage, I don't think you're going to see interest rates this low again in your lifetime. This is a perfect time to refinance your mortgage. You should get a rate under 3% if you have good credit. And I always used to tell people to pay off their mortgage. I think it's a good idea before you retire. But if you know that's not going to happen, then maybe you take a 30-year mortgage at 3%. We're creating a lot of money, and down the road, that'll mean what's the value of the dollar? And when that happens, interest rates will go up. Inflation will happen. Despite the Fed, they can hold it down for a while. So if you have a mortgage, refinance. A lot of people are wondering what to do about the stock market. We're at all-time highs. The stock market, there's never been a 20-year period where you lost money in a diversified portfolio of large company stocks in America, like the S&P 500, even adjusted for inflation. And stocks consistently beat inflation. So I can't tell you whether 30,000 is going to be the floor or the ceiling in the next 6 months. But what I'm saying is you need to be thinking about the long term and the possibilities for growth and a belief in the future. So I know you're the Garrforce. You guys are all, you're positive people, basically.
Oh, yeah.
You listen to Garry, but one of the reasons we listen to Garry is because underneath it all, he is the most optimistic person. Look what he's accomplished. That's what America accomplishes. So I really wish you a happy new year. And I think if we reach out and help each other, notwithstanding the government, and I hope things get better, but this is a big job now. I think it's up to each and every one of us. And that's going to make 2021 a really terrific year. God willing, we'll be back here talking next New Year's. I want to say I told you so, Garry.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you before next New Year's. We'll talk in a few months as this hopefully loosens up. All right.
Thanks, Garry. Happy New Year to all
Happy
of
New Year to you. Thank you, Terry. TerrySavage.com is where you keep in touch with her. All right, Leslie, that's good.
She makes me so optimistic.
I know.
And it's so easy to get caught up in the here and now. But good Lord, we got to hope that something breaks here soon. And it will. It absolutely will. And we are Americans, and we're all in this together. And yeah.
As I say almost every day on the show, we're a day closer to getting out of this than we were a day or two before or a month ago. We're closer than we were back then. If somebody had told us in April, hey, you know what, it's going to be probably January, February, March of next year, what would we have done?
No, it's better that we didn't know, because honestly, yeah, a lot of us would have probably been jumping off buildings.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are people who are on the edge, and it's really difficult for a lot of folks. But we got to stay positive. There's really no other choice unless you just go fetal.
It's going to be, like she said, when it does break, imagine how we're all going to enjoy that moment.
Well, and the realization is that this is a global pandemic. This isn't just happening here in the United States. So the recovery is also going to be of a global nature. Once again, we're all in this together at a level we've never seen before. So I'm really kind of hopeful in all of this. And in the meantime, we got stories about guys cutting off their penises, and that'll help get us through.
It's still good. And squirrels attacking.
Exactly. The crazy squirrels in New York. That was in Queens.
Okay, before we get to your batch, Ellen wants to show this vid from his neighborhood last night. Look at this. This looks like Iraq when we did shock and awe. This was in his neighborhood last night at midnight.
Okay, it's sped up slightly, but come on.
Yeah. Okay, still, it all went off. These are from people's homes because he lives near Disney World. They did not do fireworks this year. This is just your private sector doing fireworks.
As somebody on Ellen's posts mentioned, this is where your stimulus dollars are being.
Yeah, I want to take that $600 and buy fireworks. Woo-hoo! Yeah.
Each his own, and good for the fireworks manufacturers and all of that.
All right, what do you got? Let's talk about your stories.
So this is the weirdest thing out of Wisconsin. This pharmacist is facing charges after admitting that they deliberately ruined 500 doses of coronavirus vaccine. Officials at the Aurora Medical Center in Grafton were initially led to believe that the vials in question were accidentally left unrefrigerated, but now it appears the act was intentional, and it took place over the course of 2 days. And I think that's the part that makes them realize that this wasn't just a fluke. The suspect has been fired, and an investigation is continuing.
Good. They fired just okay. Why did they do it? Do we know why they did this?
No, not yet. And they haven't named the person. Well, at least as of a couple hours ago, they hadn't named the person because they're still figuring out what they're going to charge them with.
I hope so. Well, at least they got fired. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Nice to know that they're not doing this some more.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we also talked about this on the teaser this morning. The tegus are on the move. The dog-sized lizards are an invasive species first spotted here in the U.S. and South Florida, most likely dumped by negligent pet owners. In addition to being large and adaptable, the Argentinian black and white tegus are also voracious eaters, posing a potential threat to native species and farmers. And because of their adaptable nature, they're not staying put. According to wildlife experts, the lizards have now been sighted in Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, and South Carolina.
Okay, Alan, keep an eye out for the giant lizards in your neighborhood.
And if they go to South Carolina, we suggest that they play a scratch-off ticket because the lottery's been doing really well in South Carolina.
And North Carolina. The Carolinas are paying off on the scratchies.
Yes. Or at least they're telling us about it. So we'll go with that. A Florida man is in trouble with the law for turning a fire extinguisher on himself despite not being on fire. Officers at Florida State University say they found 54-year-old David Mann in a campus parking lot on Wednesday covered in white powder. When questioned, Mann told police he had been drinking and somehow fell into some water. He says he used the fire extinguisher in an effort to dry himself off. It's no small offense either. Interfering with firefighting equipment, it turns out, is a third-degree felony. Man is now in jail awaiting a hearing.
He got third-degree burn, man.
And, not to pick on Florida, but somehow or another, this is how it's all playing out today. Another Florida man has been charged for setting his own truck on fire to give police something to do. Deputies, here, wait.
have a drink.
I'm going to loosen up my tongue.
Wait, I'll run a ticker here for a moment. There we go. There's some good Florida news for a Chicagoan like me, a former Chicagoan. Northwestern defeated Auburn in the 2021 Citrus Bowl today, 35-19.
And you went to Northwestern. So
I went to Northwestern for undergrad and law school, indeed.
You know, he went to law school.
Right. So
I went to law school.
So he's a big braggadocio, and now he's producing this. So, okay.
Yeah.
And he's doing a good job. So Northwestern, you did
Damn straight.
a nice number on Allen.
So back to Okaloosa County, they responded to a large explosion on the night of December 18th and found a Chevy Silverado fully engulfed in flames and its owner, 28-year-old Kevin Murphy, standing nearby. Murphy admitted to officers that he set the fire because, quote, he wanted something for the sheriff's office to do, and he wanted to give himself an early Christmas present. Luckily, no one was injured, and it turns out that they also searched Mr. Murphy and found methamphetamines and drug paraphernalia.
There it is.
Oh.
I knew there was. What would be the Christmas present that he would get? I don't get where he was going there.
Yeah, the fact that you set your own vehicle on fire isn't going to sit with the insurance companies real well.
What did I say earlier? Guys like fire.
And that's how he ties it all up in a nice
I think I'll set my truck on fire because the cops need something. That's not a car. It's a pile of wood.
And he was very meticulous about it. As I read into this, he first set the interior on fire and then made a pool of gasoline beneath and then ran a bead of gasoline out to where he lit it on fire and got to watch it blow.
Very nice.
Boys. But we love you.
Thank you. Is that it?
Yeah, I think
that's it for now. A lot of people check it in today here. Thank you all for spending some time with the live Garrforce and streaming Schnauzer that we do every Friday at 6 Eastern. And we're back on Monday with the other show, and hope you can join us for that. Leslie, Happy New Year. Alan.
Gary, you want to run the Bettenhauser spot?
You want to? Damn it. That's why I like Alan, because he reminds me this doesn't go on unless we have the sponsors of Bettenhausen Automotive.
All right, let me run it. Here it goes.
Bettenhausen, the Midwest's #1 dealer, has Chicagoland's largest selection of new Dodge Grand Caravans, Dodge Journeys, or Jeep Renegades. Shop the Start Something New sales event 24/7 at BettenhausenCDJR.com.
And you heard Terry Savage say, with the rates so low, you've got to refi, right? Or get a mortgage. How do you do that? David Hochberg and his team. There he is, that handsome man. And David was helping raise money for the Salvation Army over the holidays, and he dyed his hair red. There he is. Wow. To do that. That's what David does. He gives back. So if you want to do the refi or the mortgage, there's the number on the screen. Call them. Those rates, again, as Terry said, you might not see those again forever. My parents in the early 60s, that was the rate they paid for their house. It's 2021. And it's under 3%. All right. Thank you, David, for your support last year and the year before and the year before that, and Bettenhausen and into this year.
Somebody pointed out that if you're still writing checks or you have to date things, this is a great year because you can screw up and put 20 at the back end and then go, oh, wait, 21. So you don't look like a stupid.
So wait, you go 20200. I made a mistake and then put NE by the O. Is that what you're saying?
Because normally you just use the 2 digits. So you would screw up and put 20.
Okay. So you can make it 1 out of the 0.
You just turn it into 4 digits and you go 21.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, that's the mimosa talking right there. Thank you. All right. Hey, have a great weekend. We're back, like I said, on Monday with the show. And what should people do? Oh, first, let's give out that complimentary cannoli coming down the aisle. There it is. Look at that. Nice. What should people do the first weekend of 2021 with their schnauzer?
I always like to give kudos to our guests, and Terry was super positive today. So thank you. Invest in your schnauzer.
Sounds good. Thanks for listening. 3 in the green, gears down, flaps are down. We're flying dirty. The voice of the globe has landed.
if you like that, I got other stuff I think you're going to like. This is the Garrforce